Good afternoon. That seems weird to say. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. We're back again for another great show. I think it's going to be a great show. It's a new time for us. It's at 1:30. We're trying something new. So if you're watching and this time works better for you, let us know. If you think we should go back to 11:30, let us know. If you think Thursday might be better, let us know. We're continuing to try and grow and make things better. This is a show for people in the manufacturing space. We want to tell your stories. We want to share what you're working on. We want to give you some encouragement, and we just want to talk about what's happening in the industry, in the U.S. manufacturing space, and how we can all grow and get better together. And we're going to continue doing that by having unique guests on, people that are excelling and succeeding in our industry, and telling their stories, because really nobody wants to hear what I have to say every week, and it's better to have other people on and share their stories and experiences. So we're looking forward to that. As always, it's a live show, and so sometimes we'll have hiccups and sometimes we'll have issues, but through all of it, you can share your thoughts, your comments with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, any of those, and myself and today's guest will answer all of those questions and thoughts that you might have that go along with what we're talking about. Or even if you have something that's totally off the wall and you want to talk about that, go ahead and put that in the comments and we will get to it. If you don't know what to say, then at least just tell us who you are, what your name is, what company you're from. We'll give you a shout out and we'll say thank you for listening. So those are a couple of things right off the bat that we want to do. Oh yeah, I'm Tony. This is Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales. We are mold makers who don't build molds. We do all of the other things that mold makers need: polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner manifold repair, preventative mold maintenance. And we also have a complete line of laser welding, laser engraving equipment made here in the Chicagoland area. Everything is made in the U.S. Because that's important. We want to be able to make sure that we can give you any kind of service or parts or whatever you need. And let's be honest, as far as I'm concerned, American made is better. And I think a lot of mold makers and people in the U.S. doing manufacturing would agree with me that they want their customers to buy U.S. We're encouraging that as well. So that's us in a nutshell. And that's what you're listening to. So I am going to bring on today's guest. His name is Matt Wardle. He is from JD Machine. And I'm excited to talk with him. In all fairness, this is the first time we're ever having a conversation. And sometimes that's the most fun because we can see where this goes for all of us. So I'm going to bring Matt in and we will get to know him. So Matt, my friend, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Tony?
I'm good. And you are from beautiful Utah. That's correct, yeah?
Ogden, Utah. Yeah, about 45 minutes north of Salt Lake. Right
Awesome.
Up against the mountains and skiing and mountain biking, and great place to be. Beautiful day.
Yeah. I think Utah is beautiful. It's one of those places that I want to spend more time. But I got to get my family to want to go out there. I mean, some of them are into hiking and some of them are not into hiking and all of the outdoors. So, we'd have to pick and choose what we did.
For sure. And, it's come and visit that we got lots of in-migration. So we got
yeah.
It's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to being in a beautiful place. Everybody wants to be there. But it's a great place to live, and it's a great place to do business.
Yeah, I watched a video on your company before you came on, and your facility is amazing. It's almost like you took a nice stock photo of mountains and scape, and you just dropped a building in the middle of it and hope that nobody comes to visit. But it looks freaking awesome. I mean, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's the view we have. It is the mountains are amazing. It's the Rockies, the Wasatch Front right here, and so Ogden's kind of rebranded itself from a railroad town to an outdoor recreation mecca. And
okay,
lots of good trails, and obviously the skiing is amazing here. So it's a good place to work and play.
So do you participate? Are you a mountain biker? Are you a runner? Are you an outdoorsman of that sort?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the above. The we're a four-season area, so love to ski. One of the resorts I ski at, they have the men's and women's downhill for the 2002 Olympics.
Oh,
World
wow.
class. And then those same ski resorts, a lot of them have got some amazing mountain biking trails. And so in the spring and summer and fall, we're mountain biking. In the winter, we're skiing. And I like to run. And says it's a lot of fun to be outdoors and just enjoy nature and all that it has here.
Yeah, I like mountain biking here. I don't know if I can handle Utah mountain biking. I mean, that's like real mountain biking. Here we have like hill biking, I would call it. You know, it's not mountain biking. It's not the crazy guys that are on the top of the cliff and it's like straight down and they jump it and they just keep going. That scares me a little bit, a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know if that's the sort of biking you're doing, but good on you if it is.
I'm pretty tame, but you do know you've had a workout when you're finished.
Oh yeah.
A lot of elevation change.
Yeah. I know that just from the brief time that I've been out there, but it's an awesome area, awesome community. I love the mountains. I want to spend more time out there at some point. But you know, life gets in the way sometimes.
I hear you.
So why don't we, before we get into things, why don't we tell people who you are? Who is Matt in a nutshell, and what is JD Machine?
So I am father of three, daughter and two sons. All of them are married, so my wife and I are empty nesters, and it's a family business that we're involved in. In fact, all three of my kids are involved in different ways. My daughter is over a lot of marketing. She lined this deal up, and she also helps a lot with HR, recruiting and interviewing, things like that. She's more of a stay-at-home mom, but she's able to really contribute here at the shop. My oldest son, he's right now working on an MBA and is working as a frontline leader over our horizontal mill cell. And then my youngest is working on a business degree and working in our purchasing department. So it's we're third. That'll be the third generation. My father started the company in 1979. His initials are JD. That's where the name comes from. And he was 50 years old, and I moved our family back to Utah from Southern California, and he couldn't find a job. So he thought, okay, I'll buy a Bridgeport and a engine lathe and see if I can eke out a living. So he got the tough part of starting the business or getting the business going done in those early stages. And he had one customer, and they treated him well, and he treated them well. And then when I was in my early 20s, my parents wanted to travel. So he says, okay, I'm ready to. He always wanted to work, and he worked until he was 89 and a half, and he passed away at 90 in March of 2020. And he just loved to be here, in the office and see what was going on, and he'd like to ride out in a scooter out on the shop floor and talk to our team and just marvel what's going on the machine. So we have a great legacy, and currently we employ, we've got about 180 team members, and work 3 shifts. We're really a build-to-print shop. We do CNC machining, thin gauge precision sheet metal fab assemblies, and service the aerospace market, defense, medical device, just really a lot of different markets, as long as it's got production and some level of complexity, as well as tight tolerances. That's kind of the operating envelope for us. Smaller parts, we don't do really large pieces, but we find that being in different businesses, there's some stability to that, but there's also a whole bunch of chaos that comes when you've got different customer requirements, and not just the parts, but their industry requirements around regulatory things. But never a dull moment in this world.
No, it's never a dull moment, and it's so interesting to me because you're starting the third generation. We're in our second generation. So my father started our company 41 years ago, and so I'm in that middle stage, and then my son is 16, and he's talking about wanting to come on board at some point. We don't know what that looks like. We don't know if it looks like college first. We don't know what the story is, because he's only going to be a junior in high school so far. So we don't know what his full story is. But we're in that middle process. So it'll be interesting to dive in a little bit and hear how your relationship is working with your daughter or whoever's involved with the business, and if that puts strain on your relationship in any way, that as far as that's concerned. And because I know from my side, working with my dad, there's not a lot of stress and strain, but there's always some. I mean, you can't turn it off when you go to a birthday party.
Yeah, it's the business is a big part of the family, and we've tried to be very intentional about it. My dad was great because he had more faith in me than he probably should have had, and was willing to let go of the reins quite easily. You know, when I took over, there were about 4 employees, and so he kept it small, which is exactly what he needed to do to kind of build up a retirement. And he realized that in order for the company to survive, that I couldn't be saddled down with a bunch of debt. I had 4 older sisters, and we worked out a deal that I think in the end they felt good about. But it was really my dad saying, "Hey, this is what I want, and the company's got to have more than one customer. So we're going to structure it this way, and this is Matt's baby. He's got everything to gain or lose." And so that we just reinvested profits and grew the company from there. But our family now, it's a different deal because it's a bigger company, and none of my kids work directly for me, and they have bosses, and if they have a disagreement with their boss, that's their deal. I can't afford to get involved in that. Not that they do, because the bosses are awesome, but they need to kind of feel the pressure of working for somebody else. In fact, some good advice I got that I didn't take was send my kids to work for somebody else for a few years, so that they could have that experience. But it didn't quite work out that way. But we try to be very intentional about our family and the business. And kind of my wife and I, our motto is our family won't destroy the business, and the business won't destroy our family. So we need to find a way to communicate. We need to find a way to have work be work and family time be family time. And as I've talked to a lot of people, and I've only worked here, so I really try to reach out and talk to other folks and network as much as I possibly can. And it's my opinion that there's no better or more powerful structure for a business than a family-owned business if it's done right.
I agree with that.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's really hard to do because you've got family, and you've got personalities, and you've got other, very, very complex relationships. But if you can harness the power of the loyalty and just a focus of the family and the kids, my kids hopefully have earned their stripes or are in the process of that. They've all had to do the worst jobs in the shop. I have a LinkedIn post of my son cleaning out the sump of one of our machining centers, which is a horrible job. And I didn't tell him to do that. His boss didn't tell him to do that. He just did that. And I tell him, hey, but you've got the eyes of the entire company on you. You can't make mistakes. You got to be respectful. You've got to make sure that people realize you're not entitled to anything. And so I don't know that there's a magical recipe, and it's different for every family, but I'm excited the way things are going. I try to give my kids tons of latitude to do what they wanted to do, and it's not all etched in stone now. I'm hopeful that we can make this work. I think my kids are doing all the right things to make that happen. My wife and I are trying, and we'll see how it goes. You don't take anything for granted, but at the end of the day, we've got a lot of other livelihoods banking on this company than just my family, so we need to do what's best for the company, so that those people that have hitched their wagon up to this company are, they have some security and some hope for the future. So anyway, filling it out day by day.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. I mean, when I was in high school, I worked here at Alliance, and I would do polishing and odds and end jobs, and some cleaning, and put in the sprinkler system, and trimmed bushes, and cut the grass, and did the driving, all those little things My father basically made my life a nightmare when I was here, and I hated it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And I tell a story all the time, but he called it justification for higher education. You know, you don't want to go to school, you will have a job, and this is what it'll be. And I decided I didn't want that job. I didn't want it to be what that was going to be. And so I went off to college. I got a degree in marketing and graphic design. And my wife and I went out on our own for a little while, and then realized that wasn't the answer, and came back. And so I've been here for about 6 years, and it's been an awesome shift. It's been awesome coming back. But going off what you said, you know, I took my lumps outside of here, and I saw what other places are like to work for, and what I want this place to be like for the people that work here. And so it was a really good eye-opening experience for me to have that difference of, you know, this is I've worked for, you know, big corporations, I've worked for small companies, I worked for, you know, little things in between, and I found the things I like, and I found the things I didn't like, and I can apply those to my leadership style or what we do for our team or how we run the company. And it's been a great experience for me overall. But you know, that's not for everybody. Some people like yourself, you go right in and you have a good mentor like your father, and you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's no stereotypical situation. Every family is different, every business is different, and you know, we play the hand we're dealt here, and it's so far it's been fun, and it's really, I get a sense from what I saw my dad, you know, and just how much he enjoyed coming to work and see what was going on. I'm getting a glimpse into that as I see my kids succeed and do good things, and you know, build on, you know, where the business is now, and bring their latent talents and skills, and also the power of their, you know, their generation. My kids look at things a lot different than I do. And
absolutely.
My dad was great in that he says, you know what, my dad was a machinist that had a business, and I was always going to be an engineer, and on the road was set to take over the business, and I thought engineering was what I needed to be able to do that. I got, 2/3 of the way through an engineering degree, and thought, what I really need to understand is business. So I transferred and kind of restarted my education and finished up with a business degree. And I'm glad I did that, because our company's been built on the shoulders of some great people, and several of those are my high school buddies that I hired, and they're the guys that got the engineering degrees, and I got the business degrees, and it's just been a great compliment. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so real quick, Chase Dixon from MD Plastics is watching us from Youngstown, Ohio. Lorena from Progressive is on, and she really liked what you had to say about the family, how, you know, the family's not going to hurt the business, and the business isn't going to hurt the family. We have a similar agreement with like that. My father and I, before I came on board, we decided that, you know, we were going to look at our relationship first, and if at any point the relationship was being hurt because of the business, the working situation, that we just cut it off. The family relationship was way more important.
very much so, for sure.
So I want to try something. We've never done this before, so, you know, bear with me. I have a few questions here. They're just like quick questions. It's like a kind of get to know you kind of thing, because, you know, we don't know each other yet. So let's start with this one. What is the main thing that influences your decisions? I know it's a very easy question.
The main thing that influences my decision?
Yeah.
Fear.
Did you say fear or beer?
Fear. Hey, I'm in Utah. Not a lot of beer running around here.
All right, that's good.
But no, yeah, I'm kidding. Well, part of it is, I mean, we've been through some really tough times, and after 9/11, a lot of our business was in commercial aircraft, so it vaporized, and
yeah,
you know, it was pretty close, touch and go there for a little while. So not returning to that state of of having the business in jeopardy and losing my house and everything else that's a pretty big motivator. I mean, that leaves a few scars. And so, a lot of the things that influence my decisions are what's going to be best for the company in the long term.
Right.
And, this is a demanding business. Manufacturing today it's exciting. I think the best days are still ahead of us in the U.S. for manufacturing, but it takes a toll, and the company's pretty much come first in my mind. So what is going to be best for the company and everybody here, and and then it's important, I think, to have some guiding principles that you can refer back to, because I don't know about your other listeners, but the phone can ring and the whole nature of the business changes because of an opportunity, or customers decided to discontinue a product, or whatever it may be. And so, we have spent some time on a mission and vision statement, core values. We do spend some time on strategic planning, and I used to think, this is too dynamic to really have any set rules, and that's still probably pretty true. But having some guiding principles, we call them our strengthen themes. One, strengthen our customers, strengthen our company, strengthen our culture, and strengthen the community. And so that kind of encapsulates everything in our mission vision statement. And as we come up with things that happen in the marketplace, right now, labor unemployment in Utah is under 2%. I've never seen anything like this in my career. Been at it for 40 years, and just the pressure on the workforce is so tight. And as we've had to, we've made decisions about retention, about recruiting, what the pay should be.
Right.
We go back to those things when we talk about improve the lives of the JD team members. It influences the way we make decisions. So anyway, that's a very long answer to a short question.
Yeah, but it's so good because I get to learn so much about you. And honestly, it's that idea of fear, right? I think fear can be a motivating factor for everybody. I mean, it has to be, but not in a way where it paralyzes you, but it helps you to be better, right? Fear, not like, I can't make that decision because I don't know what the resolution is going to be, but fear in, we need to be prepared. We need to look at the people around here. We need to be afraid for them and their livelihood and their families and everything else. How do we succeed? We can't put all our eggs in one basket and have that one customer, like you said, right? Because something could happen with them, and then the ceiling drops out. We have to be thinking about what's coming next. I think fear is a great answer. And the strength. I mean, the strength and the conviction to be able to do that and conquer the fear and look at the fear and move through it.
And that, that was just the first thing that popped in my head. But reflecting back on it, I mean, the influencing decision, you can't live in fear.
No.
In this business, you have to be optimistic that things are going to work out and the sun's going to come up another day. And so, I'm sure fear is a part of it just because of the scars that you have from things that have gone wrong. But, ideally, I think that trying to find a way that everybody can win. And sometimes that's really tough to do when you got customers that, they're trying to maximize their bottom line. But it's nice to be in a position to be able to choose who you do business with, so you can be selective with customers that appreciate the value you bring. And that's been a motivator, is making the company so good that we can choose who we partner up with as customers, and have a real, truly productive relationship. So we've been really blessed with that.
Yeah, that's a major one. We talk about that here all the time too, that you have to evaluate your customers, and it's got to be a good fit both ways. They have to see the value that you bring. They have to have not the same core values, but you should be in line with each other. They should appreciate what you bring to the table, and vice versa.
Adversarial relationships are they're just not worth it.
No, not at all.
When a customer says, hey, we're here to find the best price, and your job is to continually reduce your margins over time, it's like, oh, nice talking to you. I've been there, done that. We did this in the automotive world, and it was good for the company in the long run, but man, that was no fun.
Right.
I think things are a little different. That was in the 90s.
All right, so here's one for you. And I think it applies to work and life. What is the main quality you think makes a great parent or boss? Well, I mean, because I look at them the same way.
You know, I think it's a combination that people, your kids and the people you work with, need to know that you care about them.
Yeah.
That you know, that as a boss, you know, it's a lot. There's a lot more to this than, at least with our company, than just making money. That's a means to an end. We have to make money to be able to have a livelihood and have a growing company, but I get a lot more enjoyment and satisfaction out of watching our team members grow in their career and having that spill over into their personal lives. And I think the same thing's true as a parent. I mean, if you really truly love and care, sometimes it means you got to be the disciplinarian. You got to set limits for kids. Same's true with our team members. If their behavior isn't in line with our core values, it's really in everybody's best interest to get that corrected. And we've got people that have been here for 34 years, and it hasn't always been perfect. They haven't always. Sometimes we all need feedback on ways we can improve. So caring enough to you know, let people know that they each one has value, and that you know, you're with them through the good and the bad, and there's a lot more to it than just making a buck.
Yep. I think you and I are going to agree on a lot of things today. It's a good thing. I mean, I think we've talked about it. I think we've probably talked about it on the last episode. You know, our youth group focus is on love God and love people. And if you're loving people, then you're loving God. If you're loving God, you're loving people. And just as a parent, as a leader, you have to like you said, you have to actually care about the people around you. You can't fake it or pretend like you do. You have to actually care. And if you do, then there will be success. There will be mutual respect. There will be yeah. I agree with what you're saying there. So let's do some work stuff, huh? I mean, that's a little bit of work stuff, but that's not a lot of work stuff. Workforce development is a major issue everywhere. I mean, we were talking to a guy in Germany today, and he was saying he's having the same problem. Can't find people to work, and that's in Germany. And when you do find people to work, it's difficult sometimes to get them up to speed to where you need them to be so that you can make quality products for your customers, right? You can't afford to have a new person working on a project that you need 100% quality on. So how do you do that? What does your workforce development look like?
That's probably my biggest passion, is workforce development. And with my position, I can kind of choose where I put my effort and time. And I love to be on the shop floor and see parts being made, but the greatest need we have is in workforce development. And fortunately, we've been at that for a long time because we've had so much growth over a long period of time. It's been absolutely critical that there's a pipeline. And as I've been involved with nationally with trade associations, I'm heavily involved with the National Tooling and Machining Association, both on a national level, and I started a local chapter here in Utah, primarily because I felt like we as employers of machine shops could work together on issues that faced all of us, and one that I was most interested in was workforce development. So we've done a lot of different things that way as a company, and I'm fine with sharing both what's worked for us, because I didn't come up with it. I kind of parsed it out of other people around the country and what they do. But if there can be a relationship developed between the school districts, and if you're lucky enough to have a local technical college, and then the employers, if you can get that kind of a group together working on things, that's when things will work. And although there's a ton of turnover in the workforce, and we're seeing it, in all honesty, because there's some pretty desperate employers out there throwing a lot of money around, Yes, we pay for performance, so our feel pretty good about our high-end folks. It's kind of that mid group that we're seeing some turnover with, but I'm excited because we've got a pipeline of really sharp young people that are, anywhere from a year to 2 years to a few months
Yep.
that have come on board. We have a USDOL approved apprenticeship, a 4-year, 8,000-hour apprenticeship. We've got partnerships with 2 local tech colleges. Maddie, my daughter, just set up a lunch with the technical coordinators from the 2 school districts that are in our area. And if you really want educators to respond, buy them lunch. So we just sent out an email and said, hey, we want you guys to come. We're going to feed you lunch. We're going to show you what we've got. We want to talk about ways that we can partner and have your students know about manufacturing, the jobs that are out there. We do open houses, support Manufacturing Day. We do an open house in the spring. The entire community is welcome to come in and see that the work environment that we have isn't exactly what most people think of when they think of a machine shop. Very clean, very automated. So it takes a ton of work. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort. I know a lot of employers that just want to complain that there's no more shop classes in the high schools. True, but complaining isn't helping. So
No, it's not. It's not doing anybody any good to just complain about it.
So how do we become, when employers feel enough pain, which is I think where most of us are at right now, there's going to be some action taken. So in Utah, we've got some really creative things happening that the state's helping with education, and also the employers are working together that I think is going to be pretty impactful. But it really is just based on that model of partnerships between secondary education, technical education, but employers have got to say, I have to do something. I have to be involved in the training process. Work-based learning is really, really critical, and it's not cheap. And some people say, well, you just train them and they leave. Well, that hasn't been my experience. Our most highly trained people feel a great degree of loyalty, and we flat out pay them for what they can do.
Right.
And so, that core group, I think, is in a good place. So I think workforce development is really the limiting factor in the success of manufacturing in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's some good things happening, but it's really got to accelerate.
Yeah, and I think what you said is interesting. When people say, we're going to spend all this time and effort in training them and they're going to leave. The downside is you don't train them and they stay.
Yeah.
That's great. So you got a bunch of people running around that you're paying and they don't know how to do anything. And if your culture is good and you treat people well and you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, then they'll stay. But it's also not slavery. So, people can leave if they want to leave. That's their choice. So you better make it a situation where they don't want to go anywhere and they want to be part of your organization. And if something comes up and it's better for their family or better for themselves, listen, thank you for the effort that you put in here. I hope you learned something. Don't burn a bridge on the way out. If you decide that wherever you go is not the right fit, let's have a conversation and come back.
For sure.
But I think what you're doing and what you're saying, building a relationship with the schools and the tech colleges and all of that stuff, that's what the successful companies are doing. I go to the AMDA conferences and SPE and TMA, and we hear the same kinds of things where people ask, how do you find people to work? And then people like yourself, we're involved in the TMA Education Foundation. We do some of those things as well. People ask that question, and then people like yourself say, get involved with the schools, find out how you can help, talk to the teachers, talk to the principal, do this, do that. And sometimes you see people nodding and they're not going to do anything because that takes effort. And people, sometimes it seems like they just want the magic pill. Like they can just push a button and now people are going to come in and show up. But there's a lot of work you have to do with your culture, with your identity, with the way you respond in the community, the things that you do to have that impact, to have people in your shop that want to refer their friends or their family to come work for you. It's not an easy thing. It's not a simple process. It takes work, it takes time, it takes effort. Just like marketing, right? Your daughter is doing marketing. It's a full-time job. She's doing other things as well, but there's some companies that'll say, how do you get a better website? How do you get more traffic? How do you get more customers? Well, you got to invest the time. You got to have the people. You got to do the stuff that every other growing business does.
You gotta put in the effort. There's very few quick fixes to these challenges. A lot of people say, oh, if we're focusing on a culture right now. You can't fake that. I mean, it can't be like an initiative that you're going to start. And it's either in your DNA and it flows from the top, or you're faking it. People see through that over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's constant, never done.
So are you guys, I'm assuming that you've been in automation for a while and you're just expanding that, going from 4 employees or what you said you had to 182, I think you said. There's got to be a large expanse in technology, and automation's got to be part of that.
Yeah, for sure. And, it drives everything that we do. Resources and marketing and all those types of things fall into it. Automation is critical, and it's becoming even more critical because of the workforce shortage.
Sure.
We've had opportunities to take on new work, and as our executive team sits around the table and says, okay, let's figure out whether or not we can take advantage of this. It's really a matter of, okay, we can buy the machines, we got the space, we've got the customer that wants us to do this, but who is going to run this machine? And
right.
That's the limiting factor. So a lot of our drive on automation it is being globally price competitive, because it's pretty hard to compete in the world today without some level of automation. But now it's like, okay, if this is going to have a large labor content, then we can't even look at this job. And
right.
So automation comes in a lot of different forms, and what we look at a lot of different sides of things. There's a lot of inspection requirements for our parts, so we've looked at ways to really streamline the inspection side of it, because that's kind of a manual process. And we've had CMMs for a long time. We have a lot of automated gauging, but how do you marry that into collecting the data, analyzing the data, utilizing the data? That's a form of automation. Our horizontal machining centers, they've all got pallet systems, and that's a great form of automation. And then robots, obviously, are getting more widely used. They're easier to program now. The cobots are amazing. So I think there's a lot of things coming together that, again, give me that confidence in where manufacturing is going in the future. I see the innovation now moving at an unprecedented rate for a lot of really good reasons. And as I've talked to some of our team members, I had one come in my office the other day and be concerned about his job being automated. And we talked about it, and I said, okay, so you sit in front of that machine for 10 hours straight doing something completely mindless. I says, how satisfying is that? And he said, well, some days it's okay, but generally day in and day out, week in and week out, it's pretty monotonous. I said, I'd really like to use your brain to solve problems. Let's let the heavy lifting be done by the machines. Let's use your knack, your creativity. You don't have to work as hard, flat out. We want you to use your brain and something that I can't pay or buy a machine to do. And so I just told my folks, I says, I will never get rid of a person because of automation.
Yep.
You can take that to the bank. It won't happen. We may repurpose you, which is doesn't sound very good, but we'll give you an opportunity for growth in your career and higher pay by taking care of that high touch job.
Yeah, and what you're saying is so key, because we use universal robots for one of our machines. This is, this is what it looks like. It's a laser welding machine that has a universal robot built onto it. And so we talk to them a lot about the usability of their systems and why we want to use them. And one of the fears that people have when they bring up automation is exactly that last point that you made. You want to bring in automation so you can get rid of us. You don't want to hire people. Robots are cheaper. And, we look at that and we say, no, we want to train you on how to use the robot, because the robot is just an inanimate object. It's doing the dangerous tasks or the monotonous tasks or the things that maybe people shouldn't necessarily be doing. How do we take this robot, which we don't really care about? I mean, it's expensive and we don't want it to break, but it's not something we care about. It can be bored. That's its job. It's a robot. And we give it tasks to do, and we take the people and we give them better jobs. And we utilize them for exactly what you said, for their knowledge, for their different abilities. Not everybody sees that right away. It's that fear that gets in the way, and they go, oh, you just want to replace me with a robot. No, I want to make you better. I want to help you to grow in your career and give you more opportunities. And one of those is learning how to use a robot.
So much of it's communication, having an open channel of communication so that, people that are seeing their slice of the world, I'm running this machine and, oh no, it's going to be replaced. Well, we talk about it. We have these open communications, and I try to share the grand strategy and be real transparent on where we're trying to go as a company. And I say, listen, we've got a goal of improving the lives of the JD team. I try to put my money where my mouth is, and does it sound like if I'm just going to put a robot here and toss you to the wayside, does that adhere to that? And no. So this is what we're thinking. This is the strategy. This end result. This is what the future looks like for you if you can take these opportunities. So the worst thing we can do is put you in a job where you're not learning anything.
Right.
How do we ever expect that you'll grow personally, professionally, and in your compensation?
Yeah, and part of that communication, one of the things I've really realized and embraced and dove into is the why behind what's going on. I told my kids a long time ago that I'll never tell you because I said so. Like, I made that promise to them, because there's a why, because I told you so. And so I want to spell that out to my kids so that they understand. Maybe the why is because that's not safe for you to do right now, and I care too much about you for you to be doing that. It's a longer conversation, but it's a more worthwhile conversation. So even guys in the shop, when we were having a problem filling out timesheets, it's such an easy thing to fill out timesheets. You would think, why can't we do that? We're working on complex tooling for medical companies and making sure that parts are right. We can't put the time in the time slot. What's going on here? And it really boiled down to the why. Why is this so important? Why do you need to know every minute of my day? Are you trying to keep up on me? And the answer is no, we need to know for billing purposes. We need to know so that another job like this comes in, is this accurate? Did we quote it properly? Are we making enough money? Are we charging enough money? Are we compensating well enough? Where can we find growth, and how does that look? But to the guys on the floor or the girls on the floor, they don't know all that unless you tell them. And then it clicks, and they cooperate for a while.
It's it's interesting you mentioned that on timekeeping, because we had the exact same thing happen. I take a lot of pride in how well our ERP system functions and our timekeeping functions, and we have incentives tied to it. It really, it's solid, and having gone through that whole evolution of writing down time on a slip and submitting it to write out the machine data entry, I know how hard it is. But we recently had a deal where people could clock in but not clock into the job, and we could see those hours that they weren't clocked into a job. And as we talked about it, we said, okay, if we really need that to know where that time is for a variety, good, bad, or otherwise. If we misdid a job or all those considerations that you're mentioning, we brought the entire company together and kind of went through an accounting side of it. We talked about inventory valuation. We talked about how that ties into the profit sharing we do. And we spent 20 minutes telling people why we're going to now start measuring on a everyday basis. Every team on our floor has got a monitor that will display this additional number, how much percentage of their time is direct, which is directly clocked into a job. I was totally blown away at how that bounced. We got immediate buy-in. We got the number went up by 15% almost
Wow.
overnight. It went from 80 to 95% of the time being clocked into a job. And I thought, how powerful is that when people see the why behind what a company's trying to do? And I was just grateful that there's enough trust between our folks, soup to nuts inside the company, that they would accept that and they would jump on board. I think that I was really proud of my management team for the culture that they and the trust that they have with the people that are actually doing the important work, making
Yeah.
progress.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about is being able to get that buy-in. And in order to get that buy-in, one of the questions that's in these cards that I didn't ask because I already know the answer, just from this brief conversation, is as a leader, do you want people to love you? Do you want them to listen to you because they love you and they like you, or because they fear you? And you want them to trust you. You want them to know that that, like we talked about before, you care about them. And so the changes that we're making and the things that we're doing and the directions that we're talking about going on, it's for the overall good of the company. And how does that affect you? And how is what you're doing affect us and the company as a whole? How is your you're not being clocked in a job, how is that affecting the other 179 people that are working in this organization? And how do we all benefit from having this conversation and getting better at what we do? So it's that why is so important. It's underutilized. When my father started the company, and he's still guilty of it sometimes, but more of it's I think out of humor. He's always been a because I said so, just do it kind of a guy. And I know part of it is humor, but part of it is that's just how he was raised. He's going to be 70 years old in August. That's his mentality. So he's coming a long way. He gets it. He understands when we say we got to explain the why. But for him, it's hard to do that sometimes.
Yeah, it'll drive some of the old dogs nuts.
Yeah, it does.
The power of millennials and the Zoomers and stuff it's amazing, but you just can't treat them the same way as the old school. There's and think there's 10 people that could line up at the door to take any job that you have open. It's not that way. I mean,
right.
People need to be treated differently, and a lot of it is having respecting the dignity of people. I have a friend, and one of his statements, he's the CEO of it's about 500-600 person company here in Utah, and his things, we tell important people the reasons behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
That says two things: is who's important? Well, everybody inside the organization. So by virtue of that, we are going to tell you and explain to you the reason behind it. And so I like that statement. I think it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it'd sure be nice just to say do this because I say, but you're not going to get the results that are needed.
And honestly, it's lazy. It's a lazy answer. Yeah. It's a lazy answer, and people deserve better than that. Than just that lazy answer, whether it's your kid or your teammate or your partner or whoever it is. It's a little bit of a lazy answer. And that being said, when it comes to like networking and collaboration, how do you view that?
It's so important, and I have some relationships that are not just business, but true friends that I think it started out, I got invited to an NTMA conference. They're actually having one in Park City, and I went there, and I had about 10 people, and I was thinking about buying a machine, and I said, what's this all about? They said, well, you can make friends here and ask questions on things that you really want some help with. So there were a couple of the old guard there that I said, hey, I'm thinking about buying the lathe, and I'm looking at more automation, and I had one. They were both holding onto my arms on either side, and they were both talking at the same time. But that changed the whole course of the business, and so I learned a lot of the value of being able to create relationships with people that can help you out. And just recently I had a question about machine monitoring, and I contacted a really sharp lady I know, Shannon Sweatman in Florida. And I said, hey, Shannon, I remember you saying something about this. Can you fill in some blanks? And she gave me 2 or 3 contacts, and it just totally shortened our learning curve. Every month I have a call with 4 other business owners, one in Pittsburgh, Boston, and Nebraska. And we just get together and we talk about what's going on. And I've called tomorrow with another shop owner, some here locally. I don't know. I just can't get enough because, number one, it's nice to have somebody that understands kind of what you're dealing with. And
Yep.
that, there's none of us have all the answers. So when you've got people you can trust in your corner that you can bounce ideas off and they feel comfortable doing the same with you, a lot of times it's a no one, don't have anything to gain from helping each other out other than just a positive relationship. Like, you can talk to your attorney, you can talk to your CPA, you can talk to some business advisor, but at the end of the day, they're kind of on your payroll. When you've got these colleagues across the country or even just across town that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, just wanted to run this past you. It's awesome. It's helped me a lot, and now, being a little bit older in it, I just love to throw my 2 bits in and tell them it's probably worth what it costs you, but this is what I think about it.
Yeah, that when it comes to networking, when I started out in business, we would go to, you go to the TMA dinner, the AMBA dinner, and networking at that point, and even before then, when my wife and I had our own graphic design company, we would go to the Lake Zurich chamber events. And networking to me meant go there and try and get more business cards and more work and sell yourself. And it took me a while to learn that that's not what it is. It's just about building a relationship and more importantly, finding out what that person needs and helping them find the solution to it. And asking those questions, even if I'm not the solution. What I do doesn't provide the solution. If I meet enough people, I just become a human Rolodex, and I can fit people where they need. I can help them find success in other areas. 1, because it's the right thing to do, and 2, because it builds trust between you and that other person. Relationships is the second part of our core values. It's crucial in everything that we do, and I think it's crucial in just life in general. You can't do life alone, right? You will fail. It will be unsuccessful, and it'll be miserable in the meantime. Yes, you can do solitary for a little while. You can sit in your room and watch YouTube or play video games or do whatever you want to for a little bit. But if you don't have proper relationships, life is going to be awful. And that networking and that collaboration, when you can have that with people that you really trust, it's a game changer for life and for business.
And it's you put yourself out there, it's always a risk.
Yeah.
Just recently, there's been a couple things that have happened where I feel like I've been burned because of that. Put myself out there, but you can't just take that negative and say I'm just going to hunker down and keep all my cards close to the vest. I don't really believe in karma, but I think you do the right things for the right reasons, and over time, and you're going to come out ahead too. But that can't be the reasoning for it.
No.
It's really satisfying to be able to help people and watch others succeed. You can be plentiful, you can be scarce, and I think there's way more to be gained by just sharing openly and who knows when you may need that person to be in your corner for something you've got going on. I think it's really important, and it doesn't happen enough in our industry. I think that people need to get outside of themselves, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, but learn how to give without an expectation of recouping anything out of it.
Yep. And I think, like you, I don't believe in karma. I believe that I've been burned. It's hurt, but every time that happens, what I believe is that it is intentional. It's going to be for my good. There's stuff that I can learn from that. So in that pain, I have to look at it and say, okay, what did I add to this situation? How was I a part of what happened in this? Should I have been more diligent looking up whatever this is? Should I have been more cautious? Should I have asked more questions? Or did I just get scammed? And that's fine too. And I learned a lesson from it, and it makes me stronger going forward. And not being
people out there.
yeah, not being jaded about it, and just finding that joy and saying, listen, this is a learning experience. Not everything is going to be roses. How am I going to handle it? How am I going to grow and move forward in that situation? And what does that look like?
There's a lot more good people than bad people, but it's
Yeah.
part of the process, part of life. You're learning things. I'm always learning things, and so it's just throwing it all out the window because of one bad experience that's not the answer.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So we are at 57 minutes. This is a good length. I'm going to remind people, if anybody's still listening, we end every show with a prayer because I think it's important. So, Matt, do you have any prayer requests that you would like us to mention here?
I do. I'm spend a lot of time on my knees in prayer about my business, and in addition to a lot of other things. We have had a tragedy here at JD Machine. On Monday, one of our team members passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And so his family is struggling. It's the Lewis family. So would ask any listeners to keep that family in their prayers. They're strong and pulling together. Our JD family has done some amazing things to try to support. So it's been a really, really rough week in that regard, and so makes you know that there's a lot more to this than just work. It's relationships, it's good people, and
it's sometimes those things kind of shock you back into reality about and help you find perspective on what's important, right? We talk downstairs sometimes where, if we're laid on a job, it's not life and death.
Right.
Don't stress yourself to the point where you can't function, or you're going to go home and have a bad night with your family or whatever it is. It's work. Leave it here at work. It's okay. We're not saving lives. We're not doctors. We may work on medical equipment, but we are not doctors. There is no life saving happening here on a regular basis. There are more important things to life. So no, I appreciate you sharing that with me. All right, I'm gonna pray for us real quick, and then we can move on if that's good with you.
Please.
All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to meet Matt. Thank you for his passion for his people, for his culture, for his company, and for his family. Thank you that you've put a man in a position of power that can actually care and love on people in a way that they can probably see you. And we just pray that you would be with all the families that listen, all the businesses that listen, and that you would give them the strength that they need, that you would give them the understanding, the wisdom, and most importantly, the confidence to be able to know that whatever's happening, you're in control of that, and you can use it all for good. So we just ask you to watch over all of us, to keep us safe, to start to get us in a season of health, and through all of it, you can get the glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. Listen, I'm honored to get to know you and have this conversation. I'm glad that your daughter set it up, and I'm glad that we were able to connect like this for the first time. It's awesome to hear business owners who want to take what is a family business and continue to grow it, and really, really, really care about the people that they have there. And the fact that you took 4 people, turned it into 180, that you are concerned with the way that people are viewed and what they're doing at work. And we need more of that in not only the world, but in the manufacturing space and everywhere else. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. We've been very blessed and have a stewardship here. So it's great. Thanks, Tony, for your time. And if there's any listeners that like to reach out and chat about some things, feel free to share my contact info.
Yeah, it's on the screen now, and we'll put that on the blog page, and we'll make sure that people know how to get a hold of you. And
Awesome.
yeah, thanks. Hopefully, one of these days I'm going to make it to Utah, and I'm going to call you, and I'm going to say, hey, remember that guy that you talked to? Can I come by?
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. Standing invitation.
Awesome. I love it.
All right. Hey,
All right,
thanks.
buddy. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, I want to thank you for watching and listening. We did have people at the 1:30 time slot watch and comment a little bit, so thank you for that. If you go back and you listen to this later, tell us what would be a good time, what would be a good day. Steve Hack told me today that Wednesdays are no good, that it needs to move to Thursday because he heard that Thursdays are the best day for LinkedIn. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. I thought today was a great conversation with Matt. I can't wait to go to Utah at some point and visit him and some other companies that are out there. But I don't know when that's going to happen. We've got shows coming up all through August. We're going to take off a couple weeks in July. But we've got shows booking, and there's some great guests. So that doesn't mean we don't have time for you. If you want to be part of the show, if you have some comments or some feedback, we want to tell your story. Whatever it is, whatever position you're in, you don't have to be a business owner. You could be a guy on the floor. You could be a girl who does the marketing. Whatever it is, we've got time for you. We want to tell your story and see how it can bring value to the industry and to the people listening. So there's the information on how to contact us. If you're listening, you didn't see the information, just send me an email at tony@alliancelasersales.com, or you can send it to vanessa@alliancelasersales.com, and we will get back to you. She's laughing at me again. It's just what happens. It's part of our relationship. It's great. So on behalf of myself and Matt and JD, Machine and Alliance, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.